If you have already dialed in your backpacking kit, bought the thing, sold the thing, replaced the thing, got a new thing, this is not for you. This video is for people who want to learn about gear other people have. My name's Nathan, this is Backpacker-ish, and the whole purpose of this channel is to help people understand, in southern Alberta and the Rockies at least, some of the core ideas of backpacking, the concepts and the methods, some of the gear and what to use and when and how, as well as some ideas of places to go and what to expect when you get there. So I thought there's no better way to deal with this second one than to actually talk through some of the gear I own. And this is my gear closet. So today I'm just going to pull out a bin, a category of gear, and I'm going to talk about the things that I've actually purchased, the things that I like and the things that I don't, and maybe some stories about this and that in between. Today, let's start with my sleeping pad journey. When I started backpacking, I started in hammocks. I've got a few of them up there. But I quickly learned that not every trip can take a hammock. Sometimes you're in the Alpine or you're in a glacier bowl and there's no trees. So I learned that I needed to get a sleeping pad, and I could use the same quilt from my hammock, but I needed a sleeping pad. So I bought a sleeping pad, and the first sleeping pad I bought was this one. This is the Climate Static V insulated. I'm not going to get into all the tech specs. This is not an ad. This is not a commercial. But what I will say is the sleeping pad turned me off of backpacking trips on the ground. It was not warm. It was not comfortable. It was not good enough for 3-season backpacking in the Rockies. So I did what I could to try and modify it. I did what I could to try and get more insulation. I did what I could to make it workable, and I couldn't. So the reason I have it, and I actually have two, because I bought them both together. The reason I have it is so that if I'm taking people who maybe don't have their own gear or don't have their own stuff, that I have an option to at least provide them if they don't want to buy something or if they don't want to borrow something from someone else. They're really just in my kit as extras because I think they've got a total between these two of like 7 nights in the backcountry, because they're just not warm and not comfortable. Don't buy them. Spend the money and get something else. I think they're like $100. Then when I upgraded and went away from those and finally got back into camping on the ground, I bought this. This is the Big Ignis Rapide insulated SL, and this changed how I felt about sleeping on the ground. It's not the warmest pad. It lets quite a bit of cold air in. It's not, like, I'd take it down to just above freezing, but outside of that, it's not the warmest, but I find it extremely comfortable. And for 3 seasons in the Rockies, this will do it for me. I love this pad. This changed the way I felt about sleeping on the ground. And I don't know that I'll ever go back to a light, kind of cheap pad again. Definitely worth its weight, but not as warm as I expected. So trying to get into some winter camping and some longer trips and things like that, I went and I bought this one. Now this one hasn't ever been used. It's inside its little stuff sack. It is from Hikenture, and I don't really know. I bought it off Amazon. This was a impulse buy. If you're in the backpacking space and you're in the backpacking world and you have backpacking content in your feeds, you get ads for stuff like this. And eventually you get suckered into buying it, which I did. Oh, there's some information on it. Oh, it's just stuff sack instructions. but it's supposed to have a much higher R value, and it's supposed to be fairly comfortable. I think it was like 75 bucks or 80 bucks on Amazon. Maybe I'll put a link up if you're curious. I've tested it in the house, but I haven't taken it outside yet. And again, this is a fairly light option as an extra pad. There's trips that I go on or overnights with people who have never been backpacking before, and I have enough gear to take 4 or 5 people total. So if I want to go with some friends for 80 bucks, this is probably a way better pad. Even just laying on it, it's 10 times more comfortable than this and warmer. So if you're looking at an $80 pad for 3 seasons, skip these. They're like 100 and 120 bucks. And on Amazon, yeah, I'll put the link up because I do think it would be a better budget pad than those Climate Static Vs for sure. Now, because I have a girlfriend who sleeps very cold, I don't know that I trust this one if we're getting out below freezing. And I know that I don't trust this one much below freezing. So in order to round out my sleeping pad purchases, I did what I should have done at the very beginning of my backpacking journey. Instead of buying the cheap budget pad, I should have put the time and the energy into the research and actually bought what I want and what will work for me and what has worked for other people. And for me, that has been this year's purchase, the Nemo Tensor Extreme Conditions. This is the regular wide version. It has an R value of 8, I think, 8 something. And if you're new to backpacking, R value just means how much heat is lost through the pad. So anytime you're sleeping outside, there's going to be something underneath you, otherwise the ground is cold, and it's how much of your heat is retained in that and how much is lost. When you're looking at these online, your R value, if it's higher, it means it's going to hold more of your heat. And if it's lower, it means more heat is going to be lost through the pad. This is by far the warmest pad I own. I believe it will get me comfortably down with the right insulation over top to probably around minus 20, 25, I think. I don't know that I'll test it that low because I don't typically go out when it's that cold. And if I do, I'm going to bring, actually, these are more sleeping pad insulation things that I should show you. If I do, I'm going to bring something to give it a little bit of extra insulation. And back here, I have what some of the OG backpackers would call a sleeping pad. This is the Thermarest Z-Lite. It is an accordion style pad. It's not inflatable. It's just like egg carton material with some heat reflective thing on it, which is interesting because that actually goes on the bottom if you do it like they say to. But I think it's got an R value of 1, which just means it holds very little of your heat in, but it does hold some. So I would pair this with something like this to give it an extra boost. And since this is huge, I also bought, see, I buy too much stuff. This is why you need to watch videos like this, because you don't necessarily need to buy this stuff and learn these mistakes the hard way. I also bought this, which is just another closed foam pad. It's from Gossamer Gear. This is the folding one. I think they have a roll-up one as well. And it's just a 1/8 inch foam pad. I have really enjoyed bringing this one out with me because this can be folded up like so and just rolled in and strapped to the top of my pack. So if I'm not going to bring a sit pad, I'll bring something like this extra, because if you're around somewhere and you're hanging out, you can actually use this not as a sleeping pad, but you can use it as a super comfortable sit pad if you're sitting on a stump or a rock or something like that. The other thing about it is it's the length of a sleeping pad. So you can actually lay it down on the ground and lay down and stretch and things like that out in the middle without getting all muddy and dirty. And you just spray it off when you get home. It's great. So yeah, this is absolutely the pad I should have bought when I first started. The warmth to weight ratio, because that makes me sound like a backpacking tech nerd. I think this is warm enough and light enough for 95% of people who are going to use sleeping pads. It's not cheap though. But I will tell you that you can get this one for the same price as these three. So if I was going to suggest one, I wouldn't suggest these three. It would be the other one. But I'm not going to get rid of them because people use them. The other stuff that is in my sleeping bag bin, I have, this is just a beanie. Actually, it's a buff. It's a merino wool buff. And I use it as a toque at night to wear over my head, and it slides down over my eyes like a little sleep mask, which is fantastic. I just keep that in there so that it's always with my sleep stuff when I go to pack my bag. I also have just a little Ziploc bag full of strap pads. Every quilt I've got comes with a pad strap or two, as well as I've made some out of just like shock cord and connections and stuff, and pullouts for my hammocks and things like that. So I've got that in there as well. Also inside there is the inflation bag for my Rapide. I don't tend to carry this. I tend to carry a pump, but it's there because I took it out of the bag that it goes in, as well as some attachments for my pump. Depending on which sleeping pad I'm taking, I need a different attachment for that pump to go on that trip. And then I have these two pillows, which I just got. I'll do a video on those soon. They're up top there. Two Zen Baby systems that I bought, one for me, one for my girlfriend, so that we can do some winter trips and modifying stuff and playing with things and combinations of gear to do different sleep systems, which is pretty cool. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to having that versatility. But these are the pillows that come with it. They're very comfy. They also have a pillow topper, but that's in the rest of the kit. And then this is the pillow that, until I got the Zen Babies, that I used forever. It's a 4-class Decathlon. So it is just basically a little air bladder, but it slides into a pouch. Actually, this is kind of cool. So it slides into a pouch. You get to blow it up on that side, right? There's a little valve there. And there's the air bladder inside, just tucked in. And then it's got a little soft foam top, so the material's super comfortable and cozy. I find that I do like a top on my pillows. So when I'm looking at sleep systems, I'm going to put a top on my pillow every time. But sometimes that top on my pillow is just my jacket. So sometimes I'll use just my tent bag with some clothes in it, or my puffy. And sometimes I'll actually bring a pillow. It really depends on how I'm feeling and what else I'm sleeping on. But that is my whole bin for my sleeping pads. It's empty now. That's what I keep in that bin and how I organize that. So yeah, that's what I own. I'll put some B-roll in here, I think, if I can find some. And hopefully if you're a new backpacker and you're learning about this stuff, you got something out of this. If you're an experienced backpacker, add some comments, tell some of these guys who have never been out, give them some advice, right? Let them know what you use, what conditions you use it in, what information you think they should know about the gear that you have. That's the whole point of YouTube, and the whole point of, well, at least this channel for me anyways, to give people a place to find information about how and where to use some of this stuff. Because not everybody knows that. So, yeah, my name is Nathan. This is Backpackerish. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't, whatever.